After spending time with these figures, I think Yolopark may have finally figured out what collectors actually want from a Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime. Not transformation, not gimmicks, just a really accurate and highly articulated Optimus Prime that looks incredible on the shelf. And honestly, after handling this thing for a while, I think this might be one of the easiest Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime recommendation that I have made in a long time. But there are a few things you should know before you spend your money on it. So let's take a closer look. So after sampling this figure for approximately 30 minutes, this is definitely an easier model to make in comparison to the old Yolopark AMK Pro series, the last 9 Optimus Prime model. They definitely improve the simplicity, just make the model being easier to assemble in the overall. And this guy, the first impression I noticed from this is that he's super heavy. Much heavier than the last 9 Optimus Prime, and just had way more metal part, diecast part, scattering across the figures, all the way from the feet to the legs over here, to the thighs, and then inside the shorts over here, and then inside the shorts for the arms, inside the arm itself, and at the back piece too. There's some metal piece in here too, so there's just a tons of diecast going throughout this guy. I'm just so amazed by how much intricate details actually packed into a figure this size. Right away you can see that I currently have the Cybertron parts instead of the Earth mode parts, because for this guys right here, it has not only the Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime from where Optimus arrived to the Earth, but it also have the part to represent his design in the Cybertron battle at the beginning of the Bumblebee movie. Just look at this, everything is looking amazing. And the different part was simply from the arms, the shoulder armor section over here, and then the wheels. This is why I say that this guy looked just exactly like the 3-0 model. Got shrunk down and the quality was not even worse either. It had a tons of diecast parts in here. This figure had no ratchet joint, and it doesn't even need any ratchet joint at all because all of the joints are super tight. Unlike my Bumblebee Movie Soundwave model, which has loose feet. But this guy, the feet was like super hard to move around. It's just so good, so it can hold the pose super nicely. I think this might be the best Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime figures under $100. And I say that despite fully knowing that these figures cannot transform. But just look at this thing has no business looking this good at this price. But one thing that I noticed right away that I pretty much my only nitpick for this figure is that for the hands that actually hold the gun, like this hands was the only pairs of hands that actually have articulated fingers, and it just seemed way bigger than the smaller hand, like the inarticulated hand. So if I take this one out and just put the hand together like this, you can see just how different the size of the fingers is. So that is an index fingers, and this is an index finger. You can see that this finger is tiny in comparison to that articulated hand. So I don't know, I don't understand why they decided to do that. Because the hands that we have over here are basically the same that's come with the Bumblebee Movie Soundwave figures that they already released. And they just shrunk it down to make it smaller. And when they make it smaller like that, the hand just like so much different in terms of size, like just a finger size or even the hand size. You can see that this is tiny in comparison to the articulated one, which is a little odd. But still, this figure is just so amazing. Let's quickly go over articulation. So this guy has bone joints on the neck over there, so it can rotate on 360 like that. Like super good. You can see how far it actually tilts from side to side and even tilt down. So this can look down quite a lot, which is quite amazing. And then this can look up quite a lot too. And going to the arm, of course, all of this can rotate 360. So this guy, it just move up like that. So the arm can go out around 90 degrees like so. And it's also have the button joints over here. You can see that beautiful butterfly joints right here. This part right here is articulated too, just like so. And then when you move it out like that, this can move up further. And go down to the arms over here. Of course, we have the bone jointed arms, so the hand can move all the way around that you like. As for the fingers, this finger is actually quite interesting. So right in here, you can see that there is that hole right there. That practice go right in there. And then for the fingers, of course, for the thumbs, it's only on the bone joint. It doesn't have any secondary articulated finger. For the main finger, especially for the index finger, these fingers can articulate
just put like that, and then it can rotate down here. Then for the other 3 fingers, they actually articulate together. There's also have 2 jaws. You can see one over here and then one down here. Same articulation to the other arms. Down here we have, of course, the waist swivel over here. We also have some wiggle rooms up top on the chest, and then of course we have very good degrees of ab crunch. So we have 2 sections of ab crunch. So one section over here, which can go all the way over there, and then we have another section down here. 2 sections articulate together, and then down here we have to articulate all of those heel parts out there so that the legs can move out. This piece have to move up here so that the legs can go up. And then down here for the knee joint, we have double jointed knee. As not only that, we can see that for the thigh section, when we actually bend the knee, that whole thigh piece move around, and I super love that. It's just looking super nice to see that work out in person. As we go down here, beautiful ankle tails. So this choice is fully metal too. Look at that. That is just a super amazing degree of bending. Of course, that pose is not a good pose, but it's merely to showcase how much that can bend. Then this, of course, can rotate all the way. And then we have toe articulation. And then we have a tons of small pieces that can move. For example, these guys move. For the heels, all of the wheels can be rolled, and all of the wheels over here, they actually have rubber tire. In terms of accessories, we have a tons of accessories that come with this guy. So of course, I have the other articulated hands holding onto the axe. One thing I noticed and I really like about this is that when the pegs got packed in, unlike the usual design, it doesn't pack vertically, but it packed in some angles going downwards like this. The axe will be held slightly downwards, and it's more realistic to the actual way that people will hold heavy axe. This is a very smart move. And again, when I hold the hands like this, you can clearly see that the size difference between the finger is huge. So we have a bunch of pairs of hands. So basically 6 hands, 3 for each size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus that one over there is 6. And then we have 2 articulated hands. Then, all of those part of here, of course, this is just the base with the pegs over there if you want to display him flying or jumping. But all of these parts over here are the alternative part that we can change Optimus Prime into his Earth mode. So those pieces over here just go right here. You can see that how different the pieces are. Interestingly enough, even the windshield is a little different in comparison between the Cybertron one and the Earth mode one. So the Earth mode one have the windshield wiper, and the Cybertron one doesn't have the windshield wipers. And that is also have like some tiny detail. For example, there are tiny details on the sides over there, which is missing on here. So just some slight changes, and as I mentioned before, if you take this off, right, so the Earth mode piece come into 2 different pieces. So this guy on here, and then you have another piece just go right down here. So it's 2 separate pieces in comparison to 1 piece only that cover both sides, the sides and the fronts, between the Earth mode and the Cybertron mode. And then the smokestack is a little taller for the Cybertron mode in comparison to the Earth mode. Just to make these figures different, I do like the Cybertron part more than the Earth part, because it's just more rare in comparison to the other Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime figures on the market. And then all of those wheels over here, I already told you that this wheel, all of them are made of actual rubber wheels. You guys can see that in the middle they are, that's plastic part, and if you really try to, the rubber can be taken off. And yes, in order to post him on the display space, we basically just take off this piece right here, which is covering his headbutt right now. And then there's a hole that can just go right in here.
At the end of the day, I think Yolopark absolutely nailed the things that matter most here. The string accuracy is excellent, the articulation is fun, the build experience is enjoyable, and most importantly, this just feels like Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime. No, it doesn't transform, and depending on the kind of collector you are, that might be a deal breaker. But if your goal is to have an accurate, highly poseable, and display-focused Bumblebee Movie Optimus Prime on your shelf, this is honestly one of the strongest options available right now. For me, this isn't just a good AMK Pro release, It's probably the best AMK Pro figures Yolopark has made so far, and that's saying a lot. But let me know what you think. It is the figures you'll be picking up, or are you sticking with Study Series 3.0 or another Bumblebee Movie Prime?